Okay, so now we're doing reading for day 18, which is Genesis 19 through 22. So where we left off at is God is going down to Sodom and Gomorrah to see what's going on. He got to go check out to see what this outpour is. And he sends two angels. They go to Sodom and Gomorrah, and Lot met them and took them in and fed them. And I forgot that Lot was in Sodom. And I'm trying to figure out how Sodom and Gomorrah gets so bad if Lot was there and he could basically be a witness to the goodness of God and how he kept all his promises to him, even through his uncle Abraham. But I don't know. I just thought that was interesting. Okay. So anyway, Sodom and Gomorrah is real bad. Okay. These people found out that Lot was housing two new men, and they came to Lot's house and basically was demanding that he let out the man so that they can basically have their way with them. So everybody coming to this house, all everybody in the city coming to the house in search of the two men that Lot is housing in his house, trying to basically protect them. And Lot is like, listen, don't bother these people because they here on an assignment from God. Like, I got two daughters. You could have those daughters. And they was like, no, we want them. And Lot was like, whoa, no, no, no. And he trying to like block them, right? And it's about to be a full riot. So the two men pull Lot in, and then pulling them in, they take the sight away from the mob that's forming outside the door so that those men could not find the door. And so the angels tell Lot, like, look, we finna destroy this town, okay? So get all your people that's related to you, get them out of here. And so Lot goes and tells his son-in-laws, because apparently he has some daughters that's older and they are already married. And he tells their husbands, like, hey, God's getting ready to destroy this town. We got to get going. And they're like, we ain't going nowhere. They ain't believe anything Lot was saying. So I kind of felt like it was like a Noah Ark situation again. But anyway, Lot goes back home, I guess, and takes his wife and the two daughters who he offered up. And they leave the town and they settle somewhere. They said where they settled at, but it's so much information that I can't keep track of all these cities and towns. Anyway, they settle somewhere. And then the town gets destroyed. And in moving, though, this is important, they tell them not to look back. And Lot's wife decides to look back anyway. So she turns into a pillar of salt. Yep, she turned into a pillar of salt. So, yeah. I guess of all the people in that town, only 4 was righteous. And of the 4, only 3 made it out. Like, I was like, ooh, dad, if Abraham only had said down to like 3, like maybe they would have been spared if he would have took the number from 10 to 3. I don't know. That's just a thought that came to my head. But anyway, in this chapter as well, wherever they settled at, his daughters were like, hey, we need to have kids, but we don't have any other man here except for Lot. So they came up in their head, what they would do is get him drunk and then basically rape their father, is essentially what they did. And they did it 2 times in a row. So the first night, the oldest daughter raped them. And then the second night, the youngest daughter raped them. And then both of them had sons. And I'm thinking to myself, these kids has to have disabilities. Because there's all types of incest going on. These kids, in my head, are not coming out normal. Because, what do you mean? They like have siblings, right? Yeah, they siblings. How you gonna share your daddy with your kid? Like, you and your child have the same father. Like, that just doesn't, what? But yeah, so that's how that ended. They gave birth to sons. Okay, so moving on to Genesis 20. So now we're back to Abraham. So it's like, oh, it's two kind of stories going. So we got Lot's story going and we got Abraham's story going. So we're back to Abraham. And Abraham, he moved to a new land, and he told these people that Sarah was his sister again. He had already told the Pharaoh in Egypt that she was his sister, and he gave her back and gave her money and cattle and stuff, right? And he did it again. And then this king, God came to this king in a dream. His King Abimelech. Similac. I remember it was said Similac. Emelech. Because I was trying to figure out how to say his name, and I was like, oh, Similac, Emelech. So that's how you say King Emelech. He came to King Emelech in a dream and basically said, don't touch that woman, because if you do, I'm going to kill you and everybody else too. Everybody associated with you is going to die too. And he's like, but you heard him say that was his sister, and she told me that was her brother. Like, I'm innocent here or whatever. But anyway, he was like, well, let me get this man back his wife. So he took him back, and he was like, why would you hate me so much so that you lie and say that this woman is your sister and not your wife? And then that's when Abraham reveals to us that Sarah is his sister. He says that they got different mamas but the same daddy. And I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. So you mean to tell me incest been going on like 40 going north? Like, I just was not expecting this much incest to be happening. I don't know. Maybe I just wasn't paying attention or something, but it is running rapid in this Bible, okay? So anyway, King Emelech give Abraham back Sarah, and he gets more cattle, more money, more slaves, because his wife is so beautiful. So he's just getting blessings because his wife. But anyway, once he returned Sarah back to Abraham, the women in his kingdom, in his house, the women in his house could conceive again, because all while she was there, they weren't able to bear children. And I thought that was interesting because Sarah can't bear kids, right? Did she have Isaac yet? Yeah, no, she still didn't have Isaac. So, well, it seemed like she was, bad luck to other women too at this point. Moving on to Genesis 21 is when Sarah actually has Isaac. And she starts, I think, like laughing again. But they said in this time, by they, I mean, biblical scholar says that her laughing went from, a joke, like a little joke to laughter of joy. And so I was like, oh, okay, that's good. So like a laughter of disbelief to a laughter of joy. And she has Sarah, and then she says that Ishmael was mocking at the party that Abram threw a party because Isaac stopped weaning. And Ishmael was apparently mocking, and so she put them out, put him and his mama out. And she said that they should not share in the inheritance of her son, Isaac. And that's interesting, because how you gonna put somebody out? That's Ishmael is his firstborn son, even though it's to a slave. But she offered her up. He wouldn't have a son with Hagar had she not been like, here's my servant, have your way so you can have a kid. Like, what? So I'm gonna have to turn this into 2 parts because this is getting too long. Yep.